In this learning module, we will take a few minutes to consider the importance of the underlying data table or data tables within your analysis. While visualizations, filters, and other aspects of the analysis document are based upon data in data tables, you should consider that the data in those tables can be replaced or reloaded, causing the visual representations of the data to adjust accordingly. Consequently, as you consider a Spotfire analysis, the best way to think about the analysis document and the underlying data tables are to consider them as separate but integrated items. In fact, we could add another layer to the model, the data sources layer. Data must come from somewhere, and in most cases, the path to that data source is all that is saved within the analysis document by default. If you use insert columns or insert rows to add data to an existing data table, there may be more than one path to the various data sources saved as part of the analysis document. Because of this layered arrangement of components, the Data Table Properties dialog provides the option to save only the link to the source, or you may elect to embed a data table within the analysis document, thereby making the data source layer no longer necessary. Let's take a look at a very quick demonstration. We'll begin by opening a file in Excel in order to view the data of interest. You can see that this spreadsheet contains purchase information for customers at our Megamart chain of department stores. If we wish to open this as a data table in Spotfire, starting with a session where no data is loaded, we can use Open File from the welcome screen and select the Excel file with My Store Data in the title. Assuming that our preview looks good, we can click OK, and the default visualization type is presented to us. If your default visualization is not a table, you may right-click and switch visualization to Table. If we wish to view the relative electronics purchase totals for each store location, we could insert a pie chart. And note that, by default, each sector is sized based upon the sum of electronics, and the relative electronics purchase amounts are reasonably comparable across the 4 store locations. Now, just to show that this Spotfire analysis remembers the path to the data source, we will return to the Excel spreadsheet and make an edit. Just to be certain that this will be noticeable, let's inflate this New York customer's electronics purchase amount to an extreme level. Then, save the changes to the Excel file. When we return to the Spotfire analysis, the pie chart visualization still looks the same, because Spotfire does not read from the underlying data source unless instructed to do so. One way to instruct the analysis document to read from the data source is to use the Reload Data icon, and you can see that the 2 visualizations based upon that data table have adjusted accordingly. This is the default behavior for dealing with most types of data sources. Spotfire saves a link to the source and uses that path to the source in order to reload data. If we visit the Edit menu and launch the Data Table Properties dialog, you can see that the Store Data option is currently set to Linked to Source. With the analysis configured in this manner, the analysis document and the data source are separate entities. In other words, no data is saved with the analysis document. Instead, each time the analysis document is opened, the data from the Excel file will be read. The good news about this configuration option is that you will always get the most recent data from your data source upon opening a Spotfire analysis. The bad news about this configuration option is that if our Excel file is renamed, moved, or deleted, this analysis will present a message advising you of the need to supply data. Therefore, a second option exists. You may instead save a copy of the data as a part of the analysis document by selecting this option, and the data will be embedded within the analysis. Now, moving, renaming, or deleting the Excel file will no longer leave this analysis document devoid of data. While this quick demonstration uses Excel as a data source, bear in mind that this option to select Linked to Source or Embedded in Analysis presented within the Data Table Properties dialog is also available for data opened from other file types, tables added directly from databases, or database tables queried using information links. Note, however, that option may not be available in the case of all data sources. One data source which cannot be configured in this manner is the clipboard. If you copy data and add or paste that data from the clipboard into your analysis document, it will automatically become embedded with no option to link to the source. The second exception to this configuration is the circumstance where you form a data connection and you elect to keep the data table external, which means that the data table in Spotfire is a virtual one. The data remains in database, hence there is no linked or embedded scenario. During the process of forming a connection to a relational database, you will be prompted to decide whether you wish to keep the data table external. If you do elect to import the data table, it will be handled as an in-memory data table and the linked or embedded configuration options will apply. Let's end this video with another quick demonstration, just to show you where and when the dialog with this option is presented. From an empty analysis session on the welcome screen, we will add a data connection. In fact, because we know we will be connecting to a Teradata instance, we will click on this link. After indicating the server of interest and entering our authentication information, we can select the database of interest, click OK, and select the table or tables of interest, like person and visit occurrence. When we click OK, we are presented with the Add Data Tables dialog, where we can indicate for the person table whether we wish to keep the data external or import the data table. And notice that the decision is made independently for each data table to be analyzed. So we might keep the visit occurrence data table external. When we click OK, the person data table is imported as an in-memory data table, while the visit occurrence data table is handled as in-database data. If we visit the Edit menu in order to launch the Data Table Properties dialog, you can see that the Store Data options are grayed out for the external data, but are available for the imported data table. So, as we look under the hood of our model of the Spotfire analysis environment, keep in mind that data tables which result from files, information links, or the clipboard will always be handled by Spotfire's in-memory data engine, meaning that you will have the option to link to the source and refresh data upon opening an analysis or reloading data. However, during the process of forming a data connection, you have the option for whether you wish to handle the data as an in-memory data table or keep the data external and allow the data source's data engine to bear the burden of data handling.